everyone. Welcome back to another segment of AWS On Air. We are live here in New York City at the 2023 AWS Summit, New York City. My name is Jeff Marushak. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect on our Department of Defense Air Force team, and we are here to talk about, I'll give you one guess, generative AI. Let's introduce our host first before we get going. Jillian?
Yep, my name is Jillian Ford, and I'm a Startup Solutions Architect. But the real stars of today's episode are these two amazing people right here. So please, let's do intros.
Sure, Shelby Eichenbrod. I'm a AI/ML Specialist Solutions Architect.
And I'm Antje Bart. I'm a Principal Developer Advocate for Generative AI at AWS.
Great. So you guys are going to talk about a new training course that's going to be available for generative AI. So everyone's been hearing about generative AI. Let's make sure everyone's on the same page. All of our listeners are together. We know what we're talking about. What is generative AI?
All right.
You want to get it right?
All right. So generative AI is different than our traditional machine learning, right? Because instead of utilizing machine learning to create models that will predict something, in the case of generative AI, we're actually building these large foundation models, right? And fine-tuning, all that sort of thing that we'll get into. But we're training them to be able to generate something. So generating text, generating images, generating all kinds of things.
Yeah. What's interesting is I was an economics minor in college for the sole reason that I only needed 3 classes for the minor, so I didn't love economics, but we did regression analysis. And so when you talk about regression analysis, that's basically taking a bunch of data and doing a prediction.
Yeah.
So in the last couple of years, when we hear AI/ML to make a prediction, it was really just very highly automated regression analysis to make a prediction to do specifically one thing. But now it sounds like generative AI is opening that up to much more possibilities, to a broader spectrum of tasks.
Definitely. Like the implications across industry is huge. So that's why we see it as such a disruptive technology right now.
Yeah, and I know you started to go a bit on the use cases, but for those who are really new to generative AI, and what can they be able to start doing after they take this course?
Right. So we built this course, which is already online in collaboration with DeepLearning.AI. It's hosted on Coursera, so you can check it out. What we do in this course is really providing you with the fundamentals. So if you have a little bit of ML knowledge, you've done a little bit of machine learning in the past, this course is really for you. So we're touching on kind of really the academics and the reasoning behind why those generative AI models are so powerful today. One of the reasons they're powered by those huge, what we call foundation models. And foundation models are trained on vast amounts of data, right? So those models these days, they have billions of parameters, and they're able to understand language much better, and hence they're also capable of doing a lot of different tasks, right? You can use them, for example, to summarize long documents. You can use them to create essays, or you can use them to create, creative content, images, videos, etc. So in this course, we're walking you as a learner through the different steps in the generative AI project lifecycle, really step by step from the beginning to say, hey, where do I even start, right? Which model do I pick out of those available foundation models that are there?
Yeah, and it's interesting. Before, you would train a model on data around what you were trying to get the model to do. So if it was predict if this customer would buy additional banking products, you would have a whole bunch of banking information to train that model on. But to build on what you said, being trained on a vast amount of information, we're talking just letting it feed off of the whole internet or something of that scale, just a ton of data instead of just pointed areas. So is that when you hear the term a large language model, is that's a type of foundation model, correct? Mainly based on language.
Correct. The large language models are trained on vast amounts of text data. So they're really good already at doing a lot of those tasks, though if you have specific data, your own company data, for example, you can what we call fine-tune those models, so customizing it. So first of all, you would just start off with a model that is there and test it through a process called prompt engineering. So you're trying different inputs and seeing how you can guide the model to the output you want to have. And in case that's not like perfect, not accurate, your data is a little bit specific, you can customize those. And the real power comes in that those large language models, they don't require that much of your data. So just with a relatively small amount, you're able now to customize them and really make them really accelerating and really good at your specific data and your tasks.
Really exciting. So I want to have a follow-up question when you were talking about a little bit of machine learning for the course. So tell me more about the prerequisites, because there's probably people at home who are hearing this and they might be like, oh, but am I ready to start taking this? Do I need to do a little more prep before?
I am not a data scientist,
yeah,
so this is a little scary for me.
Yeah, math. People get scared of math.
Yeah, Shannon, do you want to go?
No, yes, math is scary to some, right?
Yeah.
No, it helps to have Python expertise, right? Because with the labs, they're all Python-based, of course. And then having some foundational machine learning knowledge is helpful. There's a lot of courses you can take to kind of come up to speed on that. But absolutely, you can take it. I've seen a ton of different personas or roles, if you will, take the course with good feedback.
Good. Now, I see this is in partnership with DeepLearning.AI. It seems like the class itself is hosted on Coursera. Can you talk about that relationship really quick, how everyone worked together for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we partnered together in a collaboration with DeepLearning.AI, founded by Dr. Andrew Ng. Some of you might know him. He's really kind of a pioneer in the machine learning and AI space, very big in the education, online education as well. And we partnered together to put this together, really kind of deliver a high quality course. It's scoped, it's an on-demand course, but scoped for 3 weeks of content. We saw people binge watching it over a weekend, so it contains video lectures you can watch, there's quizzes in there, there's also hands-on labs, so you can really kind of get into it and play around with the concepts and the techniques we're discussing. And yeah, it's hosted on Coursera, so if you follow the links we're posting in the different channels here, feel free to enroll, have a look at it, and explore the content.
You think you can go through kind of like on a week, you said a 3-week course. Let's talk about what each week looks like.
Sure.
Yeah, do you want to start with week 1?
Week 1, I have to bring my brain back. But week 1, we start with an introduction to the space, right? What else do we do in week 1?
Transformers.
Transformers, yes. Dive deep into transformers, right? Because having that foundational knowledge is important, right? In terms of actually applying generative AI, understanding the different techniques around it. Let's see, what else is covered in week 1?
We have the generative configuration settings. So imagine if you're taking those foundation models that are already available for you to play around with in like playground experiences. What you can do is change a couple of parameters, like you might have heard those weird or seen those parameters called temperature, top P, top K. So we're trying to make sense of all of those, what's happening there. And it's actually really fun to learn because you see how those control the randomness or creativity of the outputs, or like how deterministic the output is. So for example, in some cases, like if you're writing a summary of a long research paper, you really want the model to stick really closely and like be very factual, of course, on the summary. But if you're writing like a creative story, like a fiction story, right? You want to have the model being able to go a little bit more creative and come up with really fun text. So there's a couple of parameters you can tweak, which we're also discussing in the week 1.
Well, I like that. It's when people generally learn about or just talk about AI ML, that line of where newbies stop is the tuning of the model, exactly what you just said. So I don't know any of those because I'm very high level. I just know by talking to people, but I don't know any of those, the temperature things and how to tune a model. So I think that would be really interesting for folks to really, after they've heard about it for so many months and months, and now let's start working on it. All right, here are the nuts and bolts to actually get your model to do what you want. So that's very interesting.
And I know there's probably people who are listening who are hearing a lot about generative AI, but they're not going to go out and build something. They just want to be able to understand what it is. Is this like a course, do you think, that they should take and would get value from?
Definitely. No, I think that's one of the things we really purposefully focused on the technology and the applications of the technology, not necessarily, any particular service or tool, although we do obviously reinforce concepts with different tools, but 100%, I think everyone could benefit.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks like in week 3, you actually get some hands-on experience to do some of that tuning. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, we already start in week 2 on that.
Oh, yeah,
so
go ahead. Yeah.
there's
Wow.
a lot of concept to discuss, and the space of generative AI is just so fast evolving and active research happening almost on a daily basis. So I think together with our other instructors in the course, Chris and Mike, we've been reading I think around 50, 60 research papers, right?
so
Wow.
We're just spending time going through the latest, and almost every day there was a new paper.
Oh,
wow, we have to cover that.
What's new today didn't even exist yesterday.
Right.
Not last year, yesterday.
Yeah.
So I could totally understand that.
So that was a fun experience. And then we really tried to kind of get to the gist of it and help learners who take the course to just learn what's important to know and kind of build up that intuition. So even, we know it will evolve, the space. And tomorrow will be a new research paper, a new technique to do something different, slightly better. But we really wanted to focus on kind of building this basic intuition. So once you've taken the course, you understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And especially week 2, we're talking about how you customize the model. So this is going a little bit more towards, hey, I have my own data. I want to bring that into the model to provide better accuracy in the results. So we're talking about those concepts. And there's a lot of new techniques that actually help you be very efficient, because imagine training like a billion parameter model is very time and compute intensive, right? So there's really exciting techniques, one called LoRa. Shelby, you want to share a little bit what LoRa does?
Yeah, we do cover, and like you said, right, there's very few foundational model providers, right? Companies, customers, people want to use models, but they want to fine-tune them. So we do cover parameter-efficient fine-tuning techniques, which is a space that allows you to do fine-tuning using methods like LoRa or prompt tuning without necessarily doing full fine-tuning, which is a bit of a heavier lift. So there's a lot of innovation happening in that space with LoRa, where you're using low-rank matrices, essentially, for the weights, things that you can swap out. So you can train these matrices to perform your task, whether it's summarization, Q&A, and then you can even swap them out at runtime. So it also helps in terms of deployment and task swapping in a lighter lift than full fine-tuning.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah, so cool. Go ahead.
I was going to say, can we see where this is at? If the folks watching want to look into this course, let's bring up your desktop and show them where to go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, as we said, the course is in collaboration with DeepLearning.AI. So if you go to DeepLearning.AI, and we're probably putting the link here in the chat windows, you can find under the courses Generative AI with large language models. That's us. And here you can see a lot of more information. You can also see a fun video.
Hey, look, it's both of you.
Oh.
I only have one shirt, by the way.
So yeah, feel free to watch the little teaser video. We're in there with Andrew in here on the left, and we're explaining a little bit the highlights. And then there's a lot of more description, really kind of, if you want to catch up like on the prerequisites again that we discussed, also a little bit overview of all the different concepts we're discussing. And then, very important, enroll now.
Yes.
So you can click the enroll now button. And just a quick note, this will take you to Coursera. So actually, as we said, the course is hosted on Coursera. So you have another click to do, but I'm very confident you can manage. And here, I just wanted to point out a couple of options. If you go to the course, of course, you can enroll. And let me see, I have a different window here that shows me as a new learner. And if you click here, there's a couple of different options, right? If you want to have the full certificate of completion for the course that you can put on your LinkedIn credentials, resume side, there's a one-time fee to pay. But if you say you don't worry about that and you just want to really kind of take the course, learn something, Coursera also offers this audit-only options, which give you access to pretty much all the course materials except the grading stuff. So choose the option that is right for you. And then this takes you to the environment here. Pretty straightforward. Again, as I said, a lot of lecture videos you can watch. And then also we do have hands-on exercises in here, and you can flip through this content. It's scoped for 3 weeks, but again, if you have a weekend you're bored, you can also binge watch over a couple of days. We have people doing that as well.
I love it. I want to go back. 61,000
I was
people
just about to say that.
have already taken this? Is that what I just saw?
Where did you find that?
That was
It was on Coursera.
yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Already enrolled.
61,000.
And what's interesting, before we scheduled this segment, I saw an email, an internal email, announcing this course. And I was like, and I went and looked at it before I even talked to you guys. And that was like 3 weeks ago. So this is a new course, but already 60,000 plus.
4.9 stars.
Yes.
Like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
We're so happy. Like, we're blown away by the feedback. Hopefully, if you're one of them, thanks so much for already taking it. If you haven't, have a look. But we're really blown away by the feedback we're receiving for the course. We put, all of us, a lot of effort into this in kind of really trying to make it very helpful, very valuable for the learners. So we're really proud to see it's so well received. And yeah, check it out if you haven't done so.
So exciting. Any advice you'd have for someone as they're going through the course?
As you're going through it, just go through it. Yeah.
Just do it.
No.
Just do it. I like it.
No real advice. I think just kind of taking it in. There's a lot of resource links and that sort of thing too. So just taking it in, take your time, or binge watch it if that's your preference. I don't have that attention span to go for that long, but a lot of learners do, so more power to you.
I actually have a fun tip. So we heard from some of the learners. So if you watch those video lectures, you can actually change the speed of the instructors.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So that's a good one. So for some reason, I heard that a lot of people like put me on a 1.2 speed.
Oh.
Whereas with me, they told me to slow down. So you may want to go, yeah.
They
I don't
did?
know. Yeah.
So feel free to watch at your pace. Feel free to speed us up. Don't be scared. Some concepts are like really kind of maybe a little bit outside someone's like comfort zone. Don't worry. We have hands-on labs in there that give you kind of a way to explore the content. And also, like a lot of the concepts, we're discussing kind of the foundations, the academic reasoning behind. But also, there's a lot of libraries you can use as a practitioner to implement those techniques.
Ooh,
so you don't have to understand like the very complexities of how that works. If you want to, happy to, but you can also use a lot of libraries that implement and kind of cover that complexity for you. So you can start building generative AI applications really fast, and hopefully that helps as well people to just,
That's encouraging for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, a lot of times just get something working that you built gives you that confidence.
Yeah.
And then later on you can say, oh wait, let me really understand that library. What was I doing there?
Yeah.
If you don't get to the point where it's built, then you kind of you're a little discouraged. So that's great. Thank you so much for being here with us.
No, thank you all.
Thanks for having us.
I'm going to audit this class. I need to learn it too.
I need to, yeah.
So everyone, thanks for tuning in. We'll be right back after this quick break live at the AWS New York City Summit 2023.